Again, the first thing about the David Marsden Award, it's to honor Professor Marsden, and he was someone that it was a medical expert, a medical scientist. So my role was a little bit to merge, again, what have we learned from clinical trials that taught us in terms of the knowledge about Parkinson's disease, and again, in some way, how the way he thought and the way, again, we remember him would have influence in my talk. My perspective was to, in some way, change the look that we have for clinical trials. In general, what we learn from clinical trials is something about efficacy and safety of new potential compounds to be used in clinical practice. My perspective was to in some way, review the many learning points that clinical trials have taught us in many aspects, from the etiology of the disease, pathogenesis, physiopathology, progression. And in fact, when we review clinical trials attentively, there are things that are not details, that are not related with the efficacy of the compound that it's being studied. It's not related with the safety of the compound. It's something that clearly the clinical trials taught us about the disease itself. And it's surprising how, for instance, clinical trials show that dyskinesia occur early in terms of the use of levodopa, that probably dyskinesia are not very disabling in the first 5-6 years. And when we compare that type of data with the observational data we have and with the subjective perception probably we share, there is a discrepancy. So in some way, what clinical trials force us is to have a systematic look. It's to be forced to document and report. And this is mandatory, for the increment of knowledge that, that's what science means. And really the merging with David Marsden he was a bright person. Probably he could see many of these things without the need to being so systematic and so methodic. But we, normal humans, like me, being a neurologist, I need really to use this clinical trial methodology to be able to, to document the right things and in some way contribute to the progress of science.